You mean to tell me that an operation surrounding Elon Musk is glitchy? We've never seen anything like that before. Welcome to Racist of the Week. My name is Reese Waters. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union and also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments, or email me at reese@reesewaters.com. And shout out to all my new members here on the channel. Today's nominee, we've been here before, Elon Musk. No, not for that.
15 black former or current employees filed a lawsuit against Tesla on Thursday. The California suit alleged they were subjected to racial abuse and harassment at its factories.
No, not that either.
Elon Musk posted on X that, quote, DEI must die.
Not even that.
Elon Musk was found guilty by the New York Times of being born in South Africa when apartheid was going on.
Today's nomination came from you guys' submissions to me in my email. This particular story from Wired. Let's dig in. Workers say they were tricked and threatened as part of Elon Musk's Get Out the Vote effort. Now, we have already heard challenges to the legality of Elon Musk's various schemes in order to install Donald Trump as president. And before I move forward, I would like to once again reiterate something that I said after Kamala's closing pitch to America. Middle class, lower middle class, lower class. What is it that you think would so benefit Elon Musk that he will go to these lengths that you feel like would help you too? Think about it. We'll circle back to it at the end. America PAC door knockers were flown to Michigan, driven in the back of a U-Haul, and told they'd have to pay hotel bills unless they met unrealistic quotas. One was even surprised they were working to elect Donald Trump. Quote, I was in shock and disbelief, says a paid door knocker flown to Michigan to help turn out the vote for former President Donald Trump on behalf of Elon Musk's America PAC. Now this is curious because Trump is always asserting how massively popular he is. And I just can't imagine you would have to somehow try and trick people in order to canvass on his behalf. Isn't this the guy that says, what, 85% of America is with him? But yet these are the lengths that you have to go to for ground level support in Michigan. Got it. Canvassers and paid door knockers for the former president, contracted by a firm associated with America PAC, have been subjected to poor working conditions. A number of them have been driven around in the back of a seatless U-Haul van, according to video obtained by Wired, and threatened that their lodging at a local motel wouldn't be paid for if they didn't meet canvassing quotas. One door knocker alleges that they didn't even know they were signing up for anything having to do with Musk or Trump. So if I got this straight, these people who are, such value constituents to the MAGA movement, getting out the word for Donald Trump, are so well preserved. You have them in the back of a seatless U-Haul and threaten that they won't have their lodging if they don't meet these unrealistic quotas. That is quite literally how they feel about their constituency. I mean, really, like, strip away the identity, and we'll get to that. Strip away that part. That just really shows you in a nutshell, how they feel about their constituency. And it pretty much also dovetails with what I've seen and heard about the working conditions under Elon Musk, for that matter. A representative from Musk America PAC did not return a request for comment. Now that's odd, because I would think that if these are the kinds of conversations that people are having, if this is a story that's on the precipice of getting out, and you know full well that you have gone to great lengths in order to preserve the life, liberty, and happiness of those people that are working to spread the MAGA movement, you will want nothing more than to dispute those claims as loudly and visibly as possible. Or you just don't return requests for comment. The contract these door knockers signed with Blitz Canvassing, which is a subcontractor of Musk America PAC, said they are expected to maintain a 17 to 22% engagement rate during the campaign, which is a high target relative to the number of people who typically open their door for a stranger. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that they were expected to maintain a 17 to 22% engagement rate, which is relative to the number of people that are opening their door and engaging with a stranger? 17 to 22%. I need to meet the 17 and 22%. That's who I need to meet. I need to understand who the 17 to 22% is that is actively engaging with strangers knocking on their door in 2024. In fact, forget all of these polls, these undecided groups that we see all over cable news, on CNN, on MSNBC, on Fox News. I need to talk to the 17 to 22%. I have so many things I want to ask them. Like, what were you doing before you just opened up the door? Like, were you literally just sitting in the house lonely, just waiting for any kind of human contact? I have all kinds of questions. Were you so disgusted by The Price is Right, you just had to talk about it with somebody? A group of out-of-state America PAC canvassers were told during a recent team meeting that if they didn't hit their targets, which the door knocker says were more than 1,000 a week on total doors knocked, the organization would stop paying for their motel rooms. Quote, what's going to happen is they're going to stop paying for these rooms, a manager told the door knockers in an audio recording obtained by Wired, and then you're going to end up having to pay for it yourself. You can't do that with no money. The door knocker also alleges that they were told that they will have to pay for their own flight home. Now help me with something. Is this a job or is it not a job? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Are they volunteers or is this a job? Because if this is a job, you owe them based on them showing up and doing the job, regardless of whether or not the person on the other end of the door desperately wants human contact or not. Like, regardless of whether or not they watching old reruns of A Current Affair on VHS tapes and they wanted somebody else to share it with, regardless of any of that, if this is a job, you owe them that. Now, if they are in fact volunteers, then I would ask, why is it that they are apparently unaware that they're working on behalf of Donald Trump? If you're just giving out the lodging out of the goodness of your own heart, why are they unaware of the greater goals and ideals that their hard work, blood, sweat, and tears is moving towards? I got lots of questions. I got lots of, no comment. I figured you would say that, Elon Musk. I figured you would say that, which is interesting because you seem to have a lot of comment at MSG. It was too much comment. There's too much comment at MSG. Blitz Canvassing, which had received more than $9 million from America PAC for presidential campaign canvassing as of October 29th, did not immediately reply to a request for comment. One of the canvassers, who was flown in from outside the Midwest, tells Wired they had no idea they would be knocking on doors in support of Trump, or that the subcontractor they were working for was a part of Elon Musk's voter turnout operation through America PAC. Quote, I knew nothing of the job or much of the job description other than going door to door and asking the voters who they're voting for, says a door knocker who was one of the people in the back of the van and who is requesting anonymity because they signed a non-disclosure agreement. Then after I signed over an NDA is when I found out we are for Republicans and with Trump. Now here's a question. So I just gave you two potential options, whether or not this is a job or whether or not this is, in fact, a volunteer situation, in which case you would have less legal obligations to the people under your charge. But if that's the case, why would you need an NDA? I have never signed an NDA for a volunteer position. So that leads me to this being a job and them being due what's owed by virtue of what they have put in. Also, I'm also wondering why you need an NDA. I mean, you have denied any wrongdoing when it comes to any of your workplace harassment, any of the issues you had in the past. You've denied any wrongdoing. I wonder why they need an NDA. That is, that's wild. That's fascinating. It is quite fascinating. The door knocker adds that they had overheard my supervisor and a few others mention Elon Musk by name, marking the first time they had heard of the billionaire ex-owner's involvement. The Trump campaign has largely outsourced its field operation in Michigan to Musk, a move that has come under heavy criticism as previously reported by Wired. Blitz Canvassing has also reportedly had issues with fake door knocks being flagged by campaign Sidekick, a glitchy app used by America PAC. In Nevada and Arizona, up to a quarter of the door interactions were flagged as potential fakes within the app, according to The Guardian. Sidekick was never expected to handle the auditing of America PAC's door operation. The reason the PAC is confident in its numbers is because of the auditing procedures each canvassing firm puts in place and the auditing procedures of the PAC writ large. That was from a person familiar with the America PAC operation and what they told The Guardian at the time. Now, you mean to tell me that an operation surrounding Elon Musk is glitchy? We've never seen anything like that before.
Which began about 40 minutes late, plagued by technical difficulties.
My apologies for the late start.
See, the problem is you gotta update the app. Yeah, it needs an update because once you update it, then that'll get the bugs out, and then you all good. Once you update, maybe just try blowing in it like a Nintendo cartridge. Sounds like they need to blow in their entire field operations. Field organizing normally doesn't work this way. The gold standard for door knocking apps is minivan, and transportation usually involves carpooling with other volunteers or campaign staff offering a ride, preferably with seatbelts. What do you mean preferably? We are really playing fast and loose with the legality here. What you mean preferably? Is that what y'all doing in the Midwest? Initially, the paid door knockers for the Blitz subcontractor didn't have transportation to get around Michigan since no one in the group had a valid driver's license. Let me run that back. Initially, the paid door knockers for the Blitz subcontractor didn't have transportation to get around Michigan since no one in the group had a valid driver's license. So you guys organize a group of door knockers, none of whom had a valid driver's license, and you were tracking them with a glitchy app. This sounds about right. This sounds like if you ask me what Trump's ground game was looking like, that's what I would have said. This is exactly what I would have said. On Saturday, October 19th, supervisors for the canvassers initially commandeered some Ubers for them to reach their list of addresses. But by Sunday, the door knockers were loaded into a rented U-Haul moving van with no rear seating or seatbelts, and a photo and videos viewed by Wired. We were all told our transportation would be handled and we'd be in rental cars. It turned out to be U-Haul vans, and I felt embarrassed and played the door knocker tells Wired. Now here's an interesting thing, because apparently the door knockers were told if they didn't reach this wild 17 to 22% engagement rate, they wouldn't have their hotels paid for. But they're also saying that promises that were made about their basic working conditions weren't being honored. So it sounds like you haven't upheld your end of the bargain, which you are brushing past, but holding them to unrealistic expectations. And that is how you become a billionaire, folks. That is exactly how you become the richest man walking the planet. The video from inside the van shows a bumpy ride with a cage separating the mostly black door knockers from their driver. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now, why would the door knockers be mostly black? Why would the door knockers be mostly black? I mean, there are plenty of white folks that are out here struggling, looking for a gig, but you chose black folks that you're going to use as door knockers. And why? I can think of two possible explanations, both of which I believe are true. One, because you knew what the conditions would be and you understood exactly who you felt more comfortable subjecting to those conditions, A, and B, because they were being sent in to talk to other black people. I believe C, all of the above. The driver also told the group of door knockers that he was in pain and had difficulty driving. Quote, "I just had surgery, bro," the U-Haul driver says in another recording obtained by Wired. "Like half of my foot is cut off." This was the driver. Quote, "I'm scared," the door knocker who spoke to Wired replies on the recording. "And all the manager is concerned about is how many MFN doors the B got," the driver responds. Wow. I mean, the inhumanity of it all. And I must say, it's directly reflected by the inhumanity that you hear out of their mouths when they talk about these people. You hear the inhumanity. If you didn't know the inner workings of his operation, and if you didn't have Wired photos and videos popping out, they told you what it was.
They're taking the jobs from our black population.
The canvassers were then dropped off roughly 40 minutes apart from each other, relying on the mobile app to log their interactions at front doors. In a contract agreement reviewed by Wired, door knockers were given specific performance guidelines along with a mandate to keep the GPS function of their personal device turned on during all working hours. Each knock at the door must be done in 15 seconds or less, and the contractors must remain on the property for at least 30 seconds. The campaign sidekick app used by America PAC has severe limitations in its functionality, including the lack of a geo-tracking feature, hence the requirement that canvassers leave GPS services on for their personal devices at all times, according to a contract reviewed by Wired, forcing them to use offline walkbooks, a function of the America PAC app that don't offer the support of GPS or real-time upload capabilities. Now, I must ask, what kind of gig involves my personal device? What kind of gig involves my personal device? Like, you are asking these people to just accept any kind of treatment. Were you trying to see at what point they would leave? That's the only thing that I can think of why you would think this was a remotely respectable or decent way to go about any business. If you have been on the channel for a while, you know exactly where I'm going with this. This sounds exactly like what Carl Baxter was subjected to down in Florida.
A black Trump supporter, a supporter who cared so much about Trump's candidacy that he wanted to volunteer to get him elected, now says that he was discriminated against in Florida by a right-wing political advocacy group that ended in them repeatedly referring to him as a slave after just 12 days of working for this organization.
Now, while this particular group of door knockers was being managed through blitz canvassing, screenshots shared with Wired show America PAC listed in the mobile app they were using to knock on doors. Quote, recommended attire includes a red polo shirt with khaki pants or jeans and closed-toed shoes. The attire section of the contract reads, clothing with graffiti, writing, or ripped jeans/shorts is not allowed. And you got some nerve telling me what I can and cannot wear to your gig that is relying on my personal device where I need transportation. You have nobody with any sort of driver's license and your app doesn't work. If I show up in a Wizards jersey, which would be sad, but if I showed up in a Wizards jersey, you should just say, I'm happy to see you. That's all I should hear.